for all the participants across the globe. It was my pleasure actually hearing out some of these people joining into this particular webinar to know more about some of the topics that we have been actually discussing. On that note, I will just give a kind of a quick summary. Overall, I've been actually working within the IT industry almost more than 20 plus years. And I've been actually working as a project management, program management consultant for the past 15 plus years. And I also possess a Master of Science degree in project management from University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Plus, at the same time, I also do a lot of volunteering activities related to project management, conduct courses, take kind of training for young graduates, etc. In addition to that, I also participate heavily on PMI local chapter, where I contribute quite a lot. And as a lead mentor, I actually groom up some of the aspiring project managers, either in the career aspects or either in the technical challenges that they face within the project management world. And as well, I'm also serving as a board member on a couple of other organizations, and primarily to contribute and as well to expand my wealth, but at the same time to support some of the initiative that is actually being undertaken. And on as a kind of a part-time, not a part-time, off-time, I will say, I am also a kind of a lead judge and as well a coach, where I promote STEM and STEAM specifically at the young minds, basically to promote various technological robotics and all those particular area. In addition to that, I do have a kind of various certifications related to the agile, etc. And I'm also a alumni from leadership as leadership tribe, as Chitra mentioned. Before actually going on to the kind of a detailed topic about growth mindset and as well servant leadership, how we can actually adapt and adopt, maybe probably I have a kind of a quick agenda which I've actually given it. Sorry, hang on. Okay, the agenda and basically I am actually using this particular mindset in the context of agile. The reason why it is mindset, but at the same time, pretty much predominantly people are right now talking more towards agile and as well having a mindset and how you can actually cultivate that and how you can adapt and adopt. That's why the reason I'm actually using a definition of agile so that it has a kind of right context, but at the same time, this particular topic is more towards leadership, coaching side of the area, and as well how to become more empathetic right now in the current world and as well the current trend situation. Being more empathetic than you used to be is more important, and that will also help you to really to go grow yourself by demonstrating a growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And then on top of it, some of the leadership technique, which is the servant leadership, I will actually go in a bit about all of them right now. Okay, so the topic actually includes pretty much introduction of fixed mindset and the growth mindset, and who is a servant leader, what do you mean by servant leader, and how we can actually adapt and adopt. As well, after in the journey of adapt and adopt, how are you planning to use your mindset fitness to make sure you have a kind of a proper retrospective actually has been built and you are able to actually maintain successfully and manage that to sustain this particular growth mindset. And by doing this, what is it exactly value you are actually going to get as an individual? And as well, when you are interacting with, especially with the executive leaders, what is it exactly you're going to get? So these are the kind of a core areas which I'm going to touch. Again, this particular topic is very lengthy. Plus, at the same time, it's very sensitive too. At the same time, just by covering some of these particular topic areas doesn't mean that pretty much everything is covered as part of the growth mindset. But I think growth mindset is nothing but you need to cultivate your own habits, and that's a kind of a key. On that note, let me actually go again. Agile, I think I don't have to reiterate this. What do you mean by agile? Agile trying to be basically trying to be more quick, and as well how you can easily adapt and adopt yourself in the current world. That's why the reason the agile has actually been coined, and it's been there for quite some time before even making the agile project management come into existence. This was always been there, but only thing is right now it is being elaborated, and pretty much people think we can actually use more of a be more of an agile than in a kind of a traditional mindset. That's what it is. Okay, so now I'm directly jumping onto the topic. versus the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. Maybe let me start with the fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is basically where you are reluctant to change, where you are not ready to change. And whereas the reason why you are not ready to change is because there are a lot of fearful challenges in front of you and you don't know how to overcome that. And either you yourself try to feel that you are not ready there yet for your change. Having said that, you are pretty much primarily focusing on basically it's a failure for me if I'm actually going to make myself change. That's what it is right now, fixed mindset, right? Where you are stuck in one place and you are not ready to change, where you are not ready to adapt or anything like that. So that is actually a kind of that can actually lead into little bit of, I will say, probably more in the current trend. It will be kind of difficult for you to manage, and at the same time how you can overcome that, which is nothing but you need to have something called growth mindset. Growth mindset is like a kind of keeping a kind of meaning, building a kind of a baby step, kind of moving forward step by step. And then slowly you are actually trying to build your resilience so that you can actually manage and maintain that as a kind of a success factor. Sometimes the growth mindset can actually happen very spontaneously because of the other dependency. Sometimes growth mindset is actually going to take a long journey, and how within this particular long journey we can actually try to improve ourselves and as well try to manage ourselves with all the kind of unforeseen issues that are actually coming onto our way, right? So for example, the growth mindset basically it actually gives you a kind of a credibility to yourself where you can actually increase the potential of creativity, motivation, and empathy. Before I can jump onto the empathy topic, these are all the other key traits which actually improves your creativity, which improves your motivation. All those things are a kind of a positive traits. Empathy is actually another kind of a key trait which you need to possess towards achieving the successful growth mindset. The reason why it is when you are actually trying to demonstrate yourself who you are, unless until you are not going to be empathetic, it's going to be very difficult because some people might think either you know too much or either you are not ready to change yourself. Having said that, being empathetic can easily help you to demonstrate the growth mindset and you can easily adapt and adopt, right? For example, according to the leading expert, the guru or Dr. Carol Dweck, what he was actually telling is he was telling that motivation achievement goal theory found that only 40% of the people have a growth mindset. Why is that 40 percentage? Why not about more than that? The reason why it is because most of the people are fearful within themselves. They don't know what to do, or either they might not be having a proper guide for them to really to move on to the next level. Having said that, if you have a kind of a proper guide, sometimes it helps you to change your mindset to a growth mindset. In other words, growth mindset actually also helps you more to be more inspirational, and as well you can actually really develop a kind of a positive vibration around you. That's exactly the positive attitude of and the positive trait of the growth mindset. Okay. For example, I think this one which I actually got it from the internet, and it says very clearly, and which is basically right at this moment of time. Growth is always painful because, for example, if you really need to grow from yourself, grow for yourself from the current state to the next state, you really have to go through a kind of cycle of events, cycle of process. That actually is going to be painful. For example, when you actually grow a seed onto the ground, you know how long it takes for it to really to sprout out, to really to come out onto the ground, or meaning over the ground. It takes long time, and that's exactly the painfulest. But once you go through that particular painful process, it's easy for you. But at the same time, the change is painful. See, growth is one which is painful. Change, due to that particular growing factor, you are also going to change yourself. Even that is also painful, right? Unless until you are not going to implement that particular change within yourself, there's nothing as painful staying stuck, which is nothing but in this case, it's a fixed mindset. So how can you actually change yourself to the next level? That's exactly what we are going to talk more about it. Okay. Okay. So now there is a kind of a comparison that I have actually put it on place here. What is a fixed mindset? What kind of activities that they actually will possess as compared to the growth mindset? Okay, just a second. Okay, so now in this case, the triangle pyramid that you are actually seeing, that's actually a fixed mindset. Technically, people who are actually having a fixed mindset, they have these kind of common traits. They avoid feedback because they are not ready to change. Obviously, they are not interested in actually getting any kind of feedback or anything from you. And pretty much the next immediate trait they possess is they don't see effort as an important factor for them. In other words, they are not ready to put any kind of effort for them to change to the next level. That's exactly why they see effort as being an unnecessary. Then they are fearful. Because of that, they actually avoid challenges and they don't want to take any challenge, and they are not ready to take, they are not purely a risk taker. That's exactly why it is actually hard for them to change themselves. The next one is basically, if you really see the last pyramid, where they are leading themselves with fear, even though they think that they are leading, but actually they are actually having a lot of fearful within themselves, which is actually blocking them not to grow. That's exactly the fixed mindset, some of the common traits which you can easily identify when you are actually working on any kind of project or either even with a client. You can easily identify these are the kind of common traits from a who are actually having fixed mindset. Now moving on to the next one, growth mindset. For example, the reason why I've actually put it in this diagram as a kind of a cyclical form, because it's an evolution. You are going to change consistently and constantly. You are going to change. Then only you are actually going to become a kind of a more matured kind of an individual, especially in the current trend, in order to tackle various unforeseen situations. So in this case, key factor that we need to consider that you currently possess a growth mindset is if you welcome feedback. For example, I'm conducting a webinar today. Obviously, I'm actually expecting a lot of feedback, whether I've actually performed very well or whether I've actually demonstrated exactly for this particular webinar topic, etc. So I need to actually accept those particular critics or either any kind of feedback from the audience. That's one thing. So that's exactly the welcoming the feedback and critics. Now, the major other key trait is leading with vulnerability. What do you mean by vulnerability? Given the fact of a lot of things which is going on around right now, which is, for example, Corona, and as well various other kind of other natural calamities that are actually happening around us. Plus, at the same time, probably your own kind of friends might be undergoing some kind of pressures. And how do you deal with those kind of things in a compassion way? By demonstrating empathy. So this is what it is. That's why the reason these vulnerable situations are prevailing, and it will happen. So you really need to actually overcome all of these things to really to keep yourself motivated, plus at the same time to really to grow yourself. That's exactly what it is. And the next one, which is embracing the challenges. What do you mean by embrace challenges? That means you are ready to face anything. You are ready to accept any risk. But it's not that you are ready to actually go yourself and destroy yourself within that particular risk. No, not at all. But whereas you are ready to face the challenges, at the same time, you are actually going to collaborate with the other peers in order to resolve those particular risk. That's exactly the embracing the challenges. Now, for every single step of activities that you are going to perform and as well implement, you really feel that effort is really required. Where does the effort is going to come from? Effort is going to come from within you. And how do you actually implement that particular effort? I'm actually going to walk you through some steps which I have followed. So that actually gives you a kind of some kind of perspective how you can implement the growth mindset within yourself. So that's why effort is considered to be as an important process to develop themselves. Plus, at the same time, all the other participants within yourself are also going to get same kind of positive vibration. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about growth mindset, when I'm talking about fixed mindset, these are all the common traits But now I'm introducing a new topic or a new section of area called servant leader. What do you mean by a servant leader? Before even going into this, combination of the growth mindset and servant leader will definitely make you to become a strong leader where people are going to trust you with high confidence. The servant leader is in this case is not trying to be like a kind of a, you are not trying to work like a kind of a egoistic type of atmosphere. Servant is basically you are actually showing a lot of empathy to others. That's why here in this case it's a servant. Basically, though you might be within the organizational hierarchy, you might be actually be positioned at the top level, but at the same time, even though your rank and as well title is at the top level, but when you are able to come down all the way up to the bottommost peer within the organization, people appreciate you, people respect you, people think that you are valuing that particular individual or a group of people more important for the overall success. That's exactly what do you mean by servant leader. Again, combining the servant leader and the growth mindset will actually make a kind of a more powerful leader. And there are various leaders I can actually highlight with those particular kind of a common traits, right? The servant leader, I'm trying to go a little bit deep dive. And again, I really wanted to keep this particular session more interactive. And if anybody actually has any specific questions in between, or whether they really wanted to share some of their personal experience of implementing growth mindset, I'm happy to hear that as well as we move forward in this journey. Servant leader is basically a leader who focuses on growth and well-being of employees. In this case, you are a leader. You cannot actually say that I'm giving you a certain set of tasks, peers, kindly please execute it. No, that's not a leader. You are basically a delegator. You are nothing but basically you are expecting other people to work for you rather than actually you are working for them. That's exactly the kind of a trait, the opposite trait which you should not demonstrate as a servant leader, right? So then you are basically what you're doing is you are demonstrating empathy and to try to become and collaborate yourself within the other people, plus at the same time making sure that you understand what is their pain points, how you think that you can address their pain points, and how you can tackle that. In order to them being success, you are also going to become success by demonstrating the servant leader, right? And if they are growing, say for example, they desire to perform and achieve the outcome. Technically, who are the servant leaders? They are basically trying to achieve the outcome. How are they planning to achieve the outcome? They are planning to show empathy, demonstrate empathy, walk and talk empathy. When they're trying to do all these things, technically, they are actually going to become a very strong leader who's going to be trusted by many people. And that's exactly the way servant leader needs to be demonstrated. Okay. So for example, what is servant leadership? Maybe probably I'll have to quote from Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. They, according to them, they define servant leadership as a philosophy of set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organization, and ultimately creates a more just and caring world. Technically, they are actually demonstrating empathy. That's all it is. So though you are considered to be as a leader, it doesn't mean that you have the every single power within you where you can control and manage. Whereas if you try to demonstrate empathy, technically people are actually going to support you. In other words, for example, employees are customers for an organization. Employees has to be a customer for organization. An organization has to treat the employees as their valuable customer. If they show that way, the empathy is demonstrated, and at the same time, the value of the overall organization is actually going to be improved, and entire organization is actually going to become more positive, and they are actually going to deliver better results than compared to the other way. Okay, now here is the process. Okay, this is basically the simple process that I have followed, which I think probably it might be valuable for you guys as well while you are actually listening to me. And I can walk you through step by step, and then we can take it from there. From there, we can actually relate to any personal examples or any other personal projects that you guys are currently dealing with. Maybe we can exchange some of these particular details as part of conversation. So Number one, the step is basically develop themselves. What do you mean by develop themselves? As an individual, if you wanted to develop and cultivate growth mindset, you need to develop yourself. Technically, you need to find out where you currently stand, how you think you can actually improve yourself. What are the key things that you need to identify for yourself to a success? You might be having a laundry list of 10 to 15 different items, say, for example. You don't really need to put and implement all the 15 items in a one single shot. Rather, you think whichever is kind of key priority task for you, pick those. And then you try to see what is the better way that you can improve upon, and what are the steps that you need to take that you need to improve upon, etc. Identify that. Then now ready and embrace challenges. So technically what you're doing is identifying those particular tasks for yourself, and then now you are telling these are the tasks which is in front of me. Now I need to actually find out how I can achieve. While you are doing that, you are also going to embrace the challenges to overcome such things. So technically you are basically as a process facilitator, you are, in other words, this is in a project example, as a process facilitator, you protect the team from distractions and puts it in a collective intelligence to work. So technically you are working along with the team. When you are developing yourself, you are also developing your team, and in the project context, you are actually technically you are pretty much you are collaborating yourself within the team to grow, and as well make the team to grow as well as a process facilitator. The third step is to develop the growth mindset. Effort is more important and it is part of the process. Basically, in order to do all these things, first of all, developing yourself, which is nothing but developing themselves and as well yourself, you have to put some effort. What kind of effort do you need to do? For example, if a project needs to be success, not that every single stream within that particular project can be actually be accomplished. You need to identify which particular team is actually working on, what are the kind of key things that they are lacking behind, and how you think that you can actually help them to promote those particular challenges to overcome, etc. All those things you need to put in place, and you need to work with them, not work separately from them. So that's exactly very much important from the growth mindset is concerned, where you are growing technically, you are making the team also to grow. Okay. Are there any questions? Anything that anybody wants to chat right now before I can move on to the next step? Okay, I'm moving on to the next step, which is basically welcoming the feedback. In this particular journey, to try to be more empathy, showing, demonstrating empathy, and as well, in order to become more growth mindset oriented, you really need to adapt yourself to welcome feedback. The feedback can be positive, the feedback can be negative, or feedback can be combination of both. You don't know. But irrespective of it, it is your betterment for your overall success to really to nurture the growth mindset and as well develop and continue the mindset. That's exactly what you are saying, welcoming the feedback. For example, if there are any kind of disagreements, they are resolved via experimental feedback. For example, when you are actually working in the group, you as a kind of a leader, servant leader, you are actually hearing out a lot of people's comments, feedbacks, etc. Sometimes there could be kind of disagreements. And how do you actually try to overcome that kind of disagreement? Is by using an experimental feedback to see that if I try this, will this work? If I don't try this, will it actually put me into a different situation? Like that kind of experimental kind of feedback which you need to implement, where you are also going to grow, but plus at the same time, you are also going to change. And moving on to the next step, which is basically praising the process and redefine the success. So what you are going to do is, one thing which I have actually noticed is towards demonstrating empathy. And if when you try to motivate the team motivates you automatically. And when you are actually, by showing by doing the motivation, and as well by praising the team actually does more kind of a good things for you in the long run. In fact, I have actually seen according to the psychology, like any team members really need to do perform success, you actually praise them. Even a single bit of activities which they are doing it, if you praise that particular activity, they actually do more for you because it's a simple motivation. And that motivation is also another key thing which you need to develop as part of your key trait towards growth mindset. Then the other kind of a roadblock which you need to overcome is limiting the beliefs. In some instances, people might say, if you do this, it will not work. That's limiting your belief. You need to break that particular barrier. You need to overcome that. How can you overcome that? You need to put yourself into that particular position. See whether how you can break that into chunks. See whether you can actually implement those in a kind of step-by-step format. When you try to do it, you are basically breaking the barrier and you are overcoming yourself to the next level. And encourage collaboration, plant seeds for growth. So technically what you're doing is by overcoming the beliefs that has been limited for yourself, you are actually also have supposed to encourage the collaboration where you are expecting other team members to participate so that they can also plant the seeds for growth. And as a growth mindset developer, again, one thing which you need to implement here is once you start putting an effort to develop and nurture the growth mindset, you need to keep continue this. You cannot stop there thinking that you have already developed the growth mindset. I am all good right now. Let me go for it. No, you really need to reshape yourself, redefine the success, redefine the process. And every time you are actually going to put it on, you really need to implement yourself in order to be more success. Okay. Now, there is also another concept which I really wanted to introduce here. Similar to within the agile world, we actually do a lot of retrospective. This is very much applicable for the growth mindset, developing the growth mindset, and as well demonstrating the servant leadership. You really need to put something called retrospective within yourself. Sorry, introspective within yourself. Plus, at the same time, from the process perspective, you really need to put retrospective within the entire process perspective. This will actually do a kind of a complete mirror image of who you are. At the same time, you are also making the other people within that particular team also to grow yourself, grow within yourself, right? So for example, if you really look into it, the same concept which I've actually put it on, but between the step 1 and step 2, I'm doing a retrospective. By doing a retrospective, I'm also going to demonstrate introspective within myself. So these two complements each other for me to become more a growth mindset leader, at the same time demonstrating servant leadership trait. Okay. Now you have implemented it. You also have implemented the feedback loop process within this growth mindset and servant leadership. Now, what do you need to do is you also need to do something called mindset fitness, which is nothing but checkpoint where you stand, what you do. Is it really achievable for you from the growth mindset perspective, demonstrating servant leadership? And have you really very well adapted and adopted within yourself? That's exactly the mindset fitness that you really need to put yourself as a kind of plan, do, check, act kind of a model, which is nothing but in this case, mindset fitness. Okay. This one basically it explains exactly how do I change my mindset and behavior. If, for example, role modeling, you can actually take somebody's role model and then see whether you don't have to copy them, but you actually pick and choose the key traits from them. See whether you can actually implement that. If that works out very well, probably role modeling is actually going to work. For example, same way, fostering understanding and conviction. What do you mean by that? Basically, you really need to accept if there are any issues and make sure you are able to correct yourself. That's what that particular process is. The third one is talent and skills. In order to do that, you really need to develop a talent and skills. For example, you can actually take a kind of coaching session, or you can actually enroll into some kind of leadership kind of class where you can actually demonstrate those. And that can actually improve upon a more well structured a growth mindset individual demonstrating the servant leadership as well. Then reinforcing with formal mechanisms, right? For example, whatever the structures process that you are actually implementing it, make sure it is matured enough and you are able to use your formal techniques in order to really improve upon and to develop. Why all these things works? For example, I've actually given, again, all of these things are also being taken from some of the coaching website, and I also undergo right now leadership coaching as well. That's why the reason I'm able to put all these particular pictures in front rather than putting too much of verbiage. Okay, you can actually, for example, developing talent and skills. By developing talent and skills, why do you say it works? Because you can teach an old dog new tricks and our brains remains the same. Basically, you are basically going to be the same person, but whereas what you're doing is you are actually demonstrating that with the new people. And when you try to do that, automatically you are learning and you're also making other people also to learn. That's what it is. Same way, reinforcing with formal mechanism. Associations and consequences shape the behavior. When you are actually trying to put those particular formal structure in action, you are going to develop yourself. And at the same time, you are going to become more mature. Same way, role modeling, why it works. As a role model, you always think you need to become one among them, etc. And how do you think that you can actually manage them? That's why the reason you are actually going to mimic them in some instances. Instead of mimicking, only take the kind of key traits from them, see whether you can reproduce that particular trait in your style. Then you become unique rather than mimicking them. But role modeling is really required, but at the same time, don't copy them. For example, fostering understanding and conviction. People seek consequences, congruence between their beliefs and actions. Believing in the why inspires them to behave in support of a change. That means they need to really understand, why do I need to change? And that changing is actually going to help me out in a big way, something like that. That's exactly what it is. Let me see, there is a Q&A before I can move on to the next one. Okay, I'll come back to that particular question. Give me a second. Okay, I think there are some couple of questions. Do share some example who name a role model. Again, role model can actually be, for some instances, it can be your own parents. You don't know. So in this case, I really don't want to pick and choose who's my role model. The question is, for example, Dr. Abdul Kalam is my role model in a lot of instances, but that might not be applicable for you. That's why the reason I don't want to name a specific individual. You might need to actually find out who the role model could be that you are looking for, so that it will actually help you to become more better than that particular individual. That's how the role model should actually work. I can actually tell list of people who can be a role model, but that might not be an applicable example for you. That's why the reason I don't want to give the name of it. Please give us an idea, a story, be vulnerable. Okay, so this particular question, it's like, I think this might actually take a little longer time, but maybe I can actually take that particular question at the end and I can address that. Nice question. Is Elon Musk a servant leader? I don't know. The question is, sometimes if you really think, he is basically can be considered as a servant leader, but not to a very greater extent, because pretty much he's been actually he's actually trying to implement a lot of new concepts, and then he wants to actually make it more commercialized. But I don't know whether he's a servant leader or not, because definitely I've not actually worked with him. Unless until I worked with him as a leader, I can actually quote whether he could be a servant leader or not. I don't know. What is the opposite of servant leader? To be very blunt, egoistic leader. can be an opposite of servant leader. That means egoistic leader can be anybody who controls everybody into their control and who manages, who wants to manage other people than him getting managed. That's what it is. Could Steve Jobs be a servant leader? Again, as I said, there are leaders who possess servant leadership traits. Can they consider to be a servant leader because of that? To a certain extent, not to a greater extent. For example, the servant leader is basically how empathetic you are. And some people actually get that particular servant leadership traits only in the last part of their journey. So will they be considered as a servant leader? Probably at that part, but not fully right from the start to the end. So again, as I said, your own parents can be a servant leader for you. Why don't you take them as an example? Why are you actually considering other leaders who was already established, and then they are actually proving it to other communities, saying that they are similar to a servant leader? Rather, why don't you take your own parents? Rather, why don't you take your own peers? Can be a servant leader also, because servant leader is basically the common trait where you are actually trying to demonstrate how empathetic you are. That's a servant leader. Basically, you are actually understanding other people's pain, and you are putting yourself into their shoes and addressing every single thing. For example, your own team member, when you are actually working as a project manager or a project leader, you really need to put yourself into their shoes to address their concerns. Sometimes being more personal can actually help you to resolve some of the problems. Sometimes trying to work with them to tackle some of the challenges within the project, that can also help you. When you are trying to do it, you are technically demonstrating empathy here. So you can be a servant leader too. Why do we need to actually choose an example of Elon Musk and Steve Jobs? Maybe probably they would have demonstrated, but in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I feel my own parents are actually empathetic. My own parents are a servant leader for me. So I need to demonstrate them because I'm seeing them day in and day out. I cannot actually comment on somebody whom I have not seen, but I have actually read only about them. So I don't want to comment on that. Okay, let me move on to the next one. Okay, here is the kind of a pillars which I feel is applicable, how you can actually practice and adopt servant leadership. So basically, try to identify the stressors in employee lives. In this case, it can be employee. In this case, it can be yourself too. Either way, it is applicable. Then understand employees as individuals and not workers. This one is pretty much applicable for a corporate role model. If you are a corporate leader, you demonstrate all these particular pillars and see whether how you can grow yourself, how you can actually manage the growth mindset to really to continue as a kind of long journey. The third one is show appreciation. Everywhere, motivation and appreciation is a key trait as a servant leader, and a growth mindset is also very important. When you say I have a growth mindset, if you don't have appreciation and motivation, sorry, then in this case, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I will say you don't have a growth mindset. Technically, you have to appreciate every single step, every single activity that you or either your team members are doing it. You demonstrate that. Understand moments that matters more important in employees' lives. So this is basically demonstrating empathy here. And remove obstacles in employee lives. How can you remove obstacles? You cannot remove the obstacles, whereas you can actually give them some guidance how they can overcome obstacles. That is possible. Okay. Now I think I've laid out the foundation. Then I also have explained how to introspect and retrospect yourself. Then I also have said what is the kind of a corporate key pillars that you can implement in if you want to become a servant leader by adapting and adopting growth mindset. Now, What is the value that you are going to get out of this? That's what it is. Mindset actually always helps you either to drive the corresponding task that you are taking it, or either it can actually put you back since you don't have the proper mindset. Same way, servant leader, it's also going to help you to demonstrate how empathy you are, how empathetic you are, and how you can actually value yourself in the crowd. So what is the benefit and the value realization? For example, these are all, there could be many, but I have actually identified these based on my personal experience. One is respond faster. When you actually work as a servant leader, you will respond faster. What do you mean by that? You are going to actually work with the team, then you are actually going to identify their problems, their pains. Then what you are going to do, you are going to, as a leader, you have an empowerment within yourself. Now you can respond faster to tackle such things. That's exactly one of the key benefits that you are going to get. The other thing is the value driven. Overall, the value is either the project can be success, or either the overall corporation or the entity is going to earn enough profit or enough revenue because of all of these things. That's a kind of a monetary benefit, but still it is a value. Change recognition. What do you mean by change recognition? As a servant leader, the first key thing which you need to find out and as well implement is recognize the change, accept the change, implement the change. You really need to do that. If you don't do that, pretty much servant leadership is not going to work out in your favor. Though you can actually demonstrate empathy, but at the same time, if you don't accept the change, technically you are not there yet. Effective communication. When you are actually working with a growth mindset, you are going to be more transparent and you are going to be more vocal. And at the same time, as a servant leader, you can execute all of these things with ease. Continuous improvement, again, as I said, using the mindset fitness, you really need to do a retrospect and introspect for you to really to drive to the next level. Okay, I think probably this pretty much concludes. I will not say this has covered the complete mechanism of growth mindset and implementing servant leadership. There are many more to come, but at the same time, this, at least given the kind of a time frame for me, this is more than sufficient for you to really to drive it to the next level where you can demonstrate and where you can implement some of these techniques which I have followed personally. Let me actually go on to the questions. Give me a second. I have a new team as a PM to assert myself as a servant leader. Currently, I listen and observe. So maybe probably I'm not understanding the question. What is it exactly are you expecting? Are you actually expecting some kind of recommendation? How can I manage the team as a servant leader? I don't know. I think one of the anonymous attendee actually has asked this particular question. So sorry, I think I require a little bit more clarity on what exactly is expected. Certainly, I can actually give you some kind of books. That's not a problem. Let me actually share you. There are some prescribed book. I won't say it's a prescribed book. Again, it is a leadership kind of a book where you can actually develop. I can share that as part of the takeaway when I am sending my deck and as well the documents to you guys. Okay, so I think Ajay is actually asking a question. Any statistics if servant leadership is more successful than other styles of leadership in today's global matrix organization setup? I think servant leadership, I can provide you the statistics, but I think the statistic is a kind of a pure number. I don't know whether you can rely upon 100%. That's how it works. But as an individual, I have demonstrated the servant leadership within the matrix organization. It works very well. Only the problem is you need to have a kind of a common mindset across the other departments, and that will take long time. and it's a long journey. And one fine morning, you cannot say, I am a servant leader, let me demonstrate everything and trying to be more empathetic. No, you really need to prove yourself you are a servant leader by being more empathetic within your own organization, business unit. Once you start doing it, people are going to look at it, and they are actually going to follow that, and they can easily get convert and change. That's how it's supposed to be, because the statistics is, in my opinion, Ajay, statistics is just a pure number. I don't know whether you can rely 100% if that's what it works, because sometimes the numbers that are actually derived based on some common general experience, not individual leader experience. And I don't know whether you can rely upon like that. I hope I have answered your question, Ajay. I, anybody has any other further more questions? I'm happy to exchange my personal experience around that. Okay. To answer the anonymous attendee, what you might need to do is you might need to actually do something kind of ice breaking session. Probably you can actually conduct an ice breaking session where you can introduce yourself, first of all, establish yourself within the team, then you start demonstrating the servant leadership style. And again, servant leadership style is not like a kind of a style which you can implement today and follow tomorrow. No, you really, prior to that, you really need to develop growth mindset. First of all, you need to trust yourself that you can grow and you are ready for change. If you are not ready for change, implementing the servant leadership without that is actually going to be a big failure. Okay, hang on, I'm trying to take a look at your question, Martin. Let me see what is the question which you asked. Okay, again, to answer your question, Martin, to be very honest, I really don't want to put any role model in this case, because as I said, your own parents can be a role model for you in this context. And I actually believe in that. I don't want to actually role model ABC. Because of that, I can actually follow that. No, I really wanted to be myself. And when I try to do it, I am actually seeing my own parents day in and day out. So I know whether they are servant leader or not. So having said that, to answer your question, sorry, I cannot answer that particular, mean there is no any specific role model. Okay, I think I answered pretty much everybody's question. Chitra, are you there?
Yes, Sridhar. Yep. I can see a couple of questions on Q&A.
Yeah, I think I answered that particular question. I believe I actually
Yep.
responded back through the
Yep.
audio, but I did not responded back in the answer.
Got it. Yep. Yep.
Okay. How we know I am a good servant leader? Abhishek, I think to answer your question, have you ever come across managing any kind of issues and understanding that issue? Have you ever put yourself into their position? If you have, probably you are showing a kind of a partial empathetic kind of a model. If you're trying to be demonstrate more of empathy, slowly you can build that particular traits and skill. to become a servant leader. This will actually make you to understand. For example, if you are actually working in a very big project, as a project manager, the key trait you need to have is understand your team members' concern, understand what are their pains, how you think you can act upon to resolve their pain or to guide some resolution or either recommend some resolution. In order to do that, you need to be in their shoes, in their position, and then try to answer that particular question. Potentially, you can become a servant leader by demonstrating that. I hope is bottom up. Okay, bottom up and top down best approach is implementing servant leadership. I personally have an experience, it works well. It's driven top down and was not very successful when tried to driven bottom up. Again, it depends upon the organization culture. The problem is sometimes bottom up will not actually fit in very well, and the top down might actually fit in very well, right? So it depends. It depends upon the organization culture that you are actually exposed to. So to answer your question, Ajay, it might or might not work, but sometimes you really need to. That's why I'm saying in a matrix complex organization, the top down bottom up kind of an approach will not work. You really need to take a kind of a baby step. Technically, how you are delivering the agile projects in a multiple sprints, and each sprint you are actually tagging to a corresponding features. So that's exactly the value you need to drive upon. When you try to put that particular thing in front of servant leadership, it will work out effectively. It doesn't matter which organization type in this cases. But only thing is you really need to do a kind of building block initially and then build on top of it to really to take it further.